disappear. So this is the virus segment. As you saw in the video, we keep playing it over and over again. The virus is mutating, it's transforming. It's so apparently something scary kind of happened in UK recently. I don't know if you followed this, Dr. Virginia. So apparently one variant has appeared in South Africa randomly, and then UK without any connection to South Africa, with a Pacific variant that's actually undoes the kind of antibody reinforcement that the vaccine's supposed to reinforce. So I'm gonna add this real quick. UK finds more concerning cases with the concerning mutations. I said concerning. So this was pretty much happening in UK. But I want to bring this up too, because I'm not only gonna like scare the shit out of you with this, I'm also gonna show you, even though the UK their reaction to the coronavirus is pretty bad too, but at least I'm gonna show you that how bad ours are compared to theirs, because at least they're trying to do something with this. But so the public health England, which they have a healthcare system, they have a public healthcare system to remind you of that as well. There's a new variant with the E484K variant, which is already seen in South African variant. Although this change may reduce vaccine effectiveness, the current ones in the use should still work. But at the same time, as I heard that reduces the Pfizer effectiveness, and also reduces I don't know if it reduces the Moderna. I think they haven't really checked it out yet, but I know they know for a fact, they said that the Pfizer the effect of the vaccine for the Pfizer vaccine pretty much is lower because of this variant. So so when this happens, usually you try to find out if it's anywhere else. So even in South Africa, they did urgent testing for the South African variant. And in England, they also did testing as well. And compared to here in Black Power Magic Hour, we talked about how someone died from the UK variant, the old UK variant. Someone died in New Jersey, but you didn't hear any kind of rapid test response. You didn't hear anyone trying to quarantine or lock down the origins of the variant. You just saw that nigga dead. That was it. It was really no kind of enforcement of figuring out what's going on with that, even though Biden's president. But it shows you how much of a mess we are in right now. So yeah, that's what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's very difficult to look at these kinds of situations and not look back at a lot of the efforts that a lot of people wanted made in terms of people adhering to the social distancing rules, because every single time a virus inhabits a new host, it picks up DNA, it picks up fragments of DNA from each host before it's then sent on to the next one. And then each time it encodes itself upon the human genome, it also takes encoding from the human genome. So inevitably, you're going to get mutations that are going to change the way that the virus tries to propagate itself. So if you think about it, if someone ends up with the Rona after they've had some sort of intervention, and the virus has been exposed to whatever intervention that is, it stands to reason that it may then try to shift its way of propagating itself. So that's why I feel like it was so important to try to adhere to the social distancing requirements that different municipalities came up with, because every single person that passes it on to the next person actually is passing on a different virus. Yes, it's still COVID-19, but you're passing on a slightly different version of it. And if you send it down the line, if you send one lineage down the line through 15 or 20 different people, what comes out on the end of it is not going to be the same thing that went into the beginning of it. So I feel like it's still pretty important to adhere to the social distancing guidelines, because you don't want to give the virus the opportunity to change itself enough times to make it where, even if the vaccines are close to 100% effective, you can influence it into not being effective at all the more times that it makes the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that already the United States has run out of vaccines for the earlier version of the coronavirus, and already other countries are dealing with a new heightened version that's even more that spreads. I heard crazy like it transmits almost 50% more than the original coronavirus. That's what I heard. Even though it doesn't kill as much, but at the same time, we did have the first death in the United States for the UK version. So even though it doesn't kill as much, that's because our system doesn't really have a way of like enforcing a thing. If like a new variant pops up in Wyoming, there is no federal, you know, operation to figure out where that come from. So I'm gonna go back to Britain, and Britain actually has a kind of thing, even though they have kind of a Trump clown as well. They still at least have this kind of stuff. They already have a built-in healthcare system. So like when this crazy strain that has the scary 484K mutation, you're gonna hear more about this in the media in the days to come. Whether it's gonna scare the shit out of you or whatever, I don't know. But hopefully, Black Power Magic Hour will give you a sense of like how other countries are managing it. Um, so so they're gonna investigate the strain. Yo, we're gonna find out where this shit came from. Um, so pretty much, I want to play this clip real quick. The African variant, which shows the mutations under investigation, in at least 8 postcode areas of England where cases not linked to travel have been found. So you can see this is crucial information. They already locked it down. Like, well, we found out it comes from these 8 postcodes in England. Let's go over there and see where it is before it becomes a nightmare in all of England. Um, so, so this is like we didn't hear this at all in the United States. You hear multiple variants in the United States, but you hear no kind of like, oh, it came from these 3 zip codes, or like we found out it's from here and there. We didn't hear anything like that from the United States. From any health, Fauci's just kind of on a celebrity tour right now. So I want to play this clip real quick of like actual like community kind of community going to the community, helping people when they found out about this crazy mutation.
It does say about posting it, just disregard that because we'll collect it directly from you. Okay. How many of you in the house are routine? 2. So after this conversation, you check. It does say about posting it, but don't worry, we'll be back in 2 hours' time to yeah.
See that 11 people, 80,000. Like they put that work in.
So what I do when we finish chatting, I'll post them through the message to you.
Very much so. I think they've seemed to obviously found the variant very quickly, and obviously they've seemed to have been aware that there's a problem in the area. So it's nice that they've come around and dropped the packages through very quickly. Yeah, they seem to be on the ball. So yeah, appreciate their time. Concerned? Yeah, they're definitely, but I've sort of taken all precautions, and I think most people have around here. They've been very, very sensible. So hopefully we can nip it in the bud.
When you're right on top of things, as things are emerging, it encourages people to comply.
Yeah.
Voluntarily speaking.
I think it's a good idea to get it under control, obviously, as soon as possible, just so we can go back to normal life. I think it's very good. It's been, people have gone onto it straight away, so obviously it's important that everyone gets tested, and if it keeps it away, then that's even better.
Hey, look at this.
You'll be back to collect it tomorrow. Thanks for what you're doing.
You don't want to answer the door? Okay, here, stuff it in a mailbox. So yeah, so that's the type of like that's not even activism. That's the government sending out people to make sure like they can go back to doing what they want to do in a few months from now, or even sooner. So that's why that work is important. It allows you, if you nip it in the bud now, it won't become a horrifying situation when you're really in the middle of winter, like the United States. You can't go anywhere, just kind of trapped in your house, snowbound, So that's what's happening in New York City right now. Pretty much is like before the snow, there was nowhere to go. Now it's definitely nowhere to go. It's kind of like cabin fever right now. So and then we discovered these variants in New Jersey, yet there was no kind of, hey, let's go to Bergen County, let's go to Orange County and try to figure out what's going on here. Like they didn't hear any kind of response for that UK variant, and it's in New Jersey right now, and it's probably in New York City right now too. So I just want to show people at least a kind of lukewarm story of like, people actually responding to the virus in a helpful way, that, promising way, even though Britain has a crazy death count too. We're not going to knock them. They have Boris Johnson, which is like a Trump bizarro man. He's also a clown too, but at least he shows you he's like some seriousness of the issue there.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that we are past the point of deniers and it's a hoax and all this other stuff. Because
I'm gonna show you.
If we could get past that part of it, then we could just focus on getting a solution and getting back to regular life.
No, unfortunately, Dr. Eugenius, I'm gonna put this next article up. Just follows up exactly what you're saying. Like I feel like, hey, people learning. No, actually, this weird, not caring about other people's life is actually spreading all over the world now. It's kind of like an anti-lockdown global shithead movement happening all over the world right now. So mapping. So I'm gonna put this article up from Al Jazeera, which is mapping the coronavirus anti-lockdown protests around the world. So people heard about that weird protest that happened at Dodger Stadium at Los Angeles. Like people were blocking old people from getting vaccines, and for like an hour. So that's not in a vacuum at all. As you see in this map, we see lockdowns in 2021, anti-lockdown protests in 2021. As you see the dot here, you see Europe is just exploding with anti-lockdown protests in this year. It was a pretty violent one that happened recently in Norway, other countries. So we map an anti-locking protests. In Europe, it is spread Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Georgia, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, the Netherlands, Spain, and the United Kingdom. So it turned violent in the Netherlands. There was over 240 arrests around the government introducing an overnight curfew. So like the overnight curfew is actually a contested kind of thing. It's like, I understand the frustration of that, but they went buck wild over that. But just the overnight curfew together, that kind of doesn't make any sense. It's like kind of like the virus is gonna like clock out at 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing ever.
This close the bars and call it a day. The reason why the curfew.
I mean, what do you think people are doing? They're in speakeasies snorting COVID-19 lines.
But the thing is, what made it crazy is the fact they're attacked testing centers. It's one thing that you disagree with something. It's another thing that's happened in the U.S., but they blocked the vaccine center. You burned down a COVID center, testing center. You had that weird doctor who destroyed vaccines. So that's a different level of kind of not only that you disagree with other people, that you actively trying to harm other people with your beliefs. This is a whole different ball game that happened.
I don't think these people think that they're harming anybody, which makes it more dangerous. I mean, the doctor that spoiled those doses like right after they got delivered in December, that doctor thought he was probably saving lives when he chose to leave those doses out at room temperature.
And then the people get those dosages?
Nah, they just you can't use them. It's a wrap.
So even having the Middle East, Lebanon's the largest city, Tripoli, hundreds of angry protesters took the street. That's because they took the street because they're being forced. It's kind of like Americans should be protesting. We're being forced these lockdown things, but you're not giving any economic aid to help people. So that's a different reason to protest the lockdown. When you're giving strict stay-at-home orders, you tell the not work, but yet you're not giving no money to help. Of course, people can be bucking out with that. I totally understand that. What's happening in Lebanon, but the problem with that, people are like cops are shooting live bullets at people who just want money. So that's what's happening over there right now. And then in Israel, you have kind of the situation we had in Brooklyn in some ways. We had ultra-Orthodox demonstrators clashed with police as authorities face difficulties enforcing the coronavirus restrictions in the country's religious community. So it looks like they have that problem there, and they're having Brooklyn too. So So yeah, these are lockdowns, protests that happen everywhere. And you click that article, it kind of gives you the duration of lockdowns. You know, some places have had lockdowns almost a year, like India, Bolivia, Jamaica, and then you kind of have the middle of the road, like United States is kind of over here in like 200 days. And then you have people who never had a lockdown at all. It's like nothing's happening. It's just like, you know,
They're chilling.
You die is your problem, you know. So yeah, so let's give you a context of the global kind of, you know, treatment of this second wave of the lockdown. I don't know what you call it. Is this the second wave, the fourth wave, the fifth wave? I don't know what's going on. All I know that it's about to be a year since we've been in this hellscape world. So
yeah, for us New Yorkers, March 16th is that magical anniversary date.
yeah, it feels like March 16th feels like that scene in Independence Day when the fucking ships came in the city and it's got to run for the hills. You know, that's what
I guess it's a little different though, because people didn't know what was really. I don't think anybody expected what we actually got. Like, I thought it was going to be like a 3-week lockdown. I didn't know that people in the information age could be this fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, I agree with that, dude. That's one thing I did not expect at all. I did not expect people to be this dumb. Like, you know, like, and speaking of a personal experience of someone who dropped out of high school, I did not expect the population to be in this place where we have a huge anti-mask movement where people are really dying in the hospital, not believing why they're dying.
I mean, the anti-maskers that try to stop other people from wearing a mask, like, how fucking stupid are you? Like, you're mad because I'm wearing a mask?
You know, sometimes I stay in my car extra long because I don't want to put on my mask. I just want to like take a little break. I don't want to like understand that, but there's a whole nother level of going somewhere and heckling people for wearing masks and telling them they're punks for wearing a mask. Just kind of weird thing about freedom.
What if the virus actually is a body snatching virus where it's like, yeah, we need to make sure we spread ourselves so we control their brains. Yeah, don't be a punk wearing a mask. Let me infect you. Like, have you seen that weird ass? I forget the name of this movie, but the people, like, they kind of like act like kind of like cultish a little bit, and then, like, you know, they're just like, hey, you know, we just want you to join us.
Was it like kind of in a small town?
Yeah.
Was it?
And then, like, you know, they put their face up to your face, and then, like, they sneeze some fucking nasty shit in your face.
I'm confused. I don't know if you're talking about the movie with Tobey Maguire. He's kind of like in a Pleasantville town, or you're talking about the movie with the James Bond man. It's like the Spores, like Invasions of the Body Snatchers. I don't know.
It's something similar to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it feels. Yeah.
But it kind of, you know, it just kind of reminds me of that, where it's kind of like, hey, you know, don't worry. Join us. It'll be okay. No, don't try to protect yourself. No, don't do that. I don't know, man. I always kind of felt like I didn't have much faith in society. And then March 2020 happened. And I'm sitting here in February 2021 thinking to myself, wow, you were a hopeless romantic. You're a fucking fool. Like, you actually expected that people would do the right thing when there are hundreds of thousands of people. I think over 1 million people around the world. I think actually the death toll is over 2 million.
Unbelievable.
And people are still denying it.
Yeah. And the United States has the most, even though we have like how much?
5% of the world's population.
It's like insane. Yeah. India has like 1 billion people. China has 1 billion people, and they nowhere close to how many dead people we have. It makes sense, but it makes no sense at the same time.
Yeah, we're talking about my freedom. Well, here's your freedom to either bury your family or to have them cremated or turned into mulch for trees. That is your freedom.
So that's the virus segment, pretty much. You know, LA pretty much lowered their air emission standards so they can burn more bodies. So pretty much people are going on the beach with human ash over their cars and stuff. So
Rubbing in my flesh, baby.
yeah, so that doesn't convince you is real, then I don't know what is, Los Angeles. So so that's the virus. I guess, you know, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We're all on here. Thanks for watching live, even though this is like a weird future meta recording we did in the past where you're watching it now at nighttime. So so we're gonna go back to the real show. So